I watched the first 2 episodes and absolutely loved it. It reminded me quite a lot of Silence of the Lambs. Of your character reminded me a bit of Agent Starling. And basically, so I read that, I don't know if that's
I just had images of me like in a gray sweatsuit, like running through the woods.
Oh, right. And in those heels that Anthony Hopkins refers to.
Right, yeah.
That's what was in my mind as well, actually. And I read that it was based on a best-selling novel, Mindhunter. And it really made me think this genre is so popular at the moment. Why do you think that is?
It's an interesting question. People's fascinations with serial killers, where does it come from? I think part of it is because the crimes that these men commit, and I say men because most of them are men, are so heinous, so brutal and sadistic that people find them unfathomable on a certain level. How could they commit these crimes? What could have possibly possessed them to do it? So I think that's part of the fascination. It's kind of the fascination with the unknown.
You're fascinated with everything that is completely depraved, basically. And is this your favourite genre, the crime genre?
I like, a lot of my friends are obsessed with serial killers and obsessed with reading about them and listening to My Favorite Murderer, which is this famous podcast. It was not my thing at all. And I hadn't read the book Mindhunter until I got this job. And found it so intense reading it. Like I had to keep putting it down before I would go to bed because I would just think, oof, man, this is really intense to read about. I have to take a break for a second. So now it's kind of become my thing because we spent so much time in Pittsburgh shooting the show and doing like a deep dive into the minds of the serial killers of this book. And it is endlessly fascinating, but it's really intense.
And how did you feel when you found out David Fincher would be directing you?
That was the first thing that drew me to it. I mean, David Fincher could be directing anything, and I would beg to be a part of it because he's such a genius and visionary. So yeah, that was the initial draw for me, was David Fincher.
Because he has such a particular style of filmmaking. I imagine him being a different director to work for from other directors. Is that right?
Absolutely. I have had over the course of my career, I've had the privilege of working for a lot of the very well-known directors in Hollywood. And what I can say to you, honestly, is that nobody is more driven than David. Nobody's more passionate about getting things right than David. Nobody cares about the work more than David. So it's very exciting to work with David. You really have to bring your A game and do your very best every single day because it's a privilege to work for a filmmaker of his caliber.
And Jonathan, I associate you with everything that is light-hearted, I think because of Glee and Frozen. So this seems like quite a departure for you.
This is closer to who I really am. Just like dark, fucked up, unsmiling.
You've got a lot to tap into, right?
Yeah, it was all of my repressed darkness from doing Glee and Frozen is now getting self-expressed through. No.
So your characters seem like chalk and cheese. You're very much...
What does he say?
Chalk and cheese is a British expression.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll translate. It's not a problem.
I thought
Chalk
it was
and
American.
cheese.
I thought it was an American expression as well.
I like that. Yeah. Like chalk?
Just,
right.
It means
chalk
different,
and cheese.
basically.
They're very different.
I see.
Right?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can just translate for me. Okay, so they're different.
Okay.
How does that continue throughout the series? Did they end up rubbing each other up the wrong way? It's probably another saying.
It's a very interesting relationship. When we first meet my character, I'm a guy who has kind of run away from the bureaucracy at the FBI. I'm not interested in the politics and the kinds of things that you have to do in order to get a promotion. I teach road school. I go out to different cities around America and I teach the latest investigative techniques to local cops. And then Jonathan's character comes into my life. He's kind of assigned to me as my new partner. and he has some very, very fresh, very new ideas about the work that we do. And I sort of, because of his presence in my life, it sort of rekindles in me, you know, my desire to be an FBI agent. And so it's a real revelation for me, having Jonathan kind of like shake my world up.
And this is quite a heavy question for so early in the morning, but do you agree with your characters that we have a lot to learn from psychopaths, or from talking to psychopaths anyway?
Yeah, I really think that one of the questions the show asks is, can you fake empathy to acquire a better understanding of somebody? And I think it's really a powerful thing to do and engage with. Trying to understand people that are incomprehensible is a worthwhile thing, and perhaps you can glean insights and information in ways that you didn't imagine were possible if you didn't ask the questions.
And I'm a huge Disney fan, so I've got to ask about Frozen 2.
Yeah.
Do you know if your character is going to be in it?
It is. I just started recording it a month ago.
Oh, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And I suppose you can't tell me anything about what's going to be in it.
I keep almost... Yeah, I can't, sadly. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I wish I could. When the cameras are off, I'll tell you everything.
And this is probably a bit of a sharp curve in conversation topics, but so the sex scenes are very typically David Fincher in that they're very realistic. Are they more awkward to shoot than other scenes?
I love doing sex scenes. I'm like weird in that way. I find that when you do sex scenes, usually there's little or no dialogue and there's no lying. It's just intimacy between two people, and there's this heightened energy on set. Usually there's crew is a little more stripped down, you're a little more stripped down, and you get to express yourself and explore a level of intimacy that to me is really interesting and exciting. I love doing sex scenes. I did, on this one with David, because we did a lot of takes of the sex scene, have a moment where I was so sweaty, because I'm a very sweaty person, where like sweat was dripping off of my nose in a direct stream onto Hannah's like chest. So we had to take a break because we started laughing, but that happened often actually.
Well, that's impressive that it was your own sweat, because I think normally makeup artists have to apply sweat. So
they started to, yeah. Gigi would come in at first because they're like, we want them, you know, like they've been good at. So it started with them like squirting me down a little bit, and then they're like, oh, okay, we don't have to squirt him down. He's disgustingly sweaty, which is how I get in life.
TMI.
I was just thinking, wow, man.
No, your fans are going to love that.
You learn more about your acting partner in these interviews than you ever thought you would.
So many revelations today.
So many revelations.
So you must be so excited about Series 2 being commissioned. Where would you like it to go if you could write it yourself?
Did you just tell us that we got picked up?
I don't know. You know, my understanding is that we're still waiting to hear about season 2.
Oh, I hope I'm not wrong. I read that online.
Oh, okay. But
then it must be true.
You know, our hope is that this journey has only just begun.
Okay. Well,
we've only
just begun.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Likewise, nice meeting you.
Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.
Hey!